Hello everybody, it's your friendly digital technology librarian Christy here. We've reached another Friday, so of course I have another Film Rec Friday ready for everybody out there. So this is the very first Film Rec Friday of 2024, and to celebrate, we've put together a couple of recommendations for films that sort of embody that fresh start and new adventure spirit that kind of permeates the entire first few weeks of every single new year that we have. These are movies that I really enjoy watching, that I definitely feel encourage us to go out there, do something new, try something different, and just, again, make a fresh start. As always, these films are available entirely for free with the use of your Milan-Berlin library card. So without any further ado, let's get to the recs. Okay, my first recommendation for today is available on Canopy, and that is 2023's Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. Say that 3 times fast. This little animated feature was such an unexpected delight. It is not, your typical kids-focused animated feature, though you could certainly show this to people of many different ages. This is quite a layered, nuanced, beautiful story about someone going out and trying to find something new. Marcel is a tiny 1-inch anthropomorphized shell. And he started out as a bit of a YouTube internet phenomenon, right? Jenny Slate has voiced Marcel since his inception, all the way to this Oscar-nominated full-length feature. And she does such a good job as this tiny shell. It's weird how much character you can get out of this little thing. There are really no facial features because, again, it's a shell. There's a little eye, some feet. It's all done through vocal inflection, and it's amazing how she does it. People who are fans of audiobooks already know, voice inflection can bring you tons of different places, but to have that connected to such a visual medium, I think is there's something special going on here. So in this story, Marcel is existing with the last member of his family that he knows of. Connie, his grandmother, is an aging shell. She's reaching the point where she's beginning to fade, and there's something so incredibly human about their relationship, and Marcel's desperation to, take care of her, to, that futile attempt to halt time. And at the same time, he is on a bit of a quest to find his missing family because they were all separated at one point. And there are, some very real world connections to the idea of new starts being halted by a fear of letting go of something else that's been so pivotal in one's life. These themes are not kid themes. They're pretty heavy, and it's amazing how emotionally connected we can feel to these two characters, again, that have no facial features. Everything is done with voice inflection. It's just, there were definitely moments in this where I was very definitely on the verge of tears because their connection is so human. And I think that is one of the best things about this movie. It's so silly in some ways, so very much, imbued with like fantastical elements. They're tiny anthropomorphized shells after all. But there's never a moment that doesn't feel something where you can't connect to them, where you can't empathize things that he's feeling, lost, isolated, alone. All of that is, very relatable. Even the premise is kind of, while it's super silly, this sort of filmmaker ends up in an Airbnb that's housing Marcel and his grandmother, and he gets attached to them and decides to make a documentary. Like, kind of silly and out there, but he is our, other character, sort of the one that can break the fourth wall and bring us into this situation. Dean is the name of that particular character. Anyway, you know, so much of this is funny, and I know I've really focused on those really big, deep emotional beats, but again, that sort of ability to combine humor with sadness, with tragedy, it's all like what anyone would feel in a regular life. These things, these that's just how things are. Things Sad things can be funny things can be sad, and you see that throughout the entire film, and I absolutely love how it does that. Um, it really does, while you're watching it, kind of pull you in to Marcel's dilemmas, like I was mentioning before, that sort of desire to get out there, to do something new, to start this new adventure while being at the same time caught and pulled back by, everything that he knows of is safety. The only thing he's had, to signify safety for so long. But yeah, if you're looking for a really beautiful storyline, incredibly well acted, that, has so many different facets, you absolutely have to check out the film Marcel the Shell with Shoes on Canopy. 100% worth it, and definitely a must watch. Okay, my other recommendation for this week is for a film that I watch pretty much every single year. It is available on both DVD and Blu-ray via our CleveNet service, and that is 2001's Bridget Jones's Diary. This is one of those movies that no matter how many times I watch it, it's still fun, it's still delightfully silly, and it's just a really good way to kind of kick off the year. In Bridget Jones' Diary, we are dealing with a 30-something-year-old Bridget Jones, played by the phenomenal Renee Zellweger. I actually think this is probably her best film, even more so than Judy and several of the other movies that have gotten so many accolades. She's so delightfully charming in this, so funny. The performance is just really fresh and ridiculous, and she really sort of leans into all of the very silly, slapsticky, screwball comedy situations that Bridget finds herself in. But I digress. We see Bridget at the beginning of a new year of her life, and she is making all of these resolutions. She's going to make big changes. She's going to find love. She's going to figure out how to be a real adult. And she decides to start a diary. And throughout the year, we see how her life has highs and lows, and there are some very high highs and some very low lows. But throughout it all, she keeps this sort of plucky, delighted spirit. And there's just, I don't know, this is not necessarily the kind of movie that I usually gravitate towards, but there's something about it that I just find so thoroughly enjoyable. Not to mention the fact that it is a very, very, very clever take on Pride and Prejudice. If you are a fan of Clueless, but you're at the point where you want something a little older than Clueless, though I never think you outgrow Clueless, which is phenomenal. Modern day adaptation of Emma from Jane Austen. This one, it's just a slightly older heroine who's facing different sort of life goals and expectations, and the way she spins the different characters from Pride and Prejudice to this different universe, it's just really, really fun. If you've not seen it before and you are familiar with Pride and Prejudice, it's kind of fun to see who fits who and how they're similar but different at the same time. And it goes across the board for all of the different characters. Even her parents are kind of delightful foils, and what ways a modern day existence might change them and have them have different goals as well. But yeah, Bridget is one of those heroines that I think, totally fallible. She makes loads and loads of mistakes, but at no point is she ever, vicious about them. She never, tries to put somebody else down. It's really about a very insular change. All of the things that she needs, she kind of realizes, I have to do this and I have to face these different elements. And I really do love that about this particular story. Besides the fact that Zellweger is fantastic in it, we have a delightful spin on Hugh Grant, especially up till then. Up until Bridget Jones's Diary, Hugh Grant generally played some very like wishy-washy, very typical male heroes from romantic comedies. He was very like sweet and good. I mean, if you've seen the Emma Thompson penned adaptation of Sense and Sensibility, he plays Edward Ferrars, uh, who, who is sort of the epitome of nice guy, like has no ill intents upon anyone. Just and that's sort of the way Hugh Grant's career had been. In this, he gets to play this very smarmy, for lack of a better word, sort of foil for our male hero in here, and he's so good. Like it's a really great character. He's, you know, dashing but dastardly at the same time, and it's a great look on him as far as roles. I do think that this is one of his more fun roles, especially when we're looking at that earlier part of his career. Uh, we've got a really, really fantastic Colin Firth, essentially reprising his role as Mr. from the BBC miniseries to Pride and Prejudice as Mark Darcy this time around, and delightful as ever, but with, you know, a very modern spin and a modern set of sensibilities. We have an amazing, amazing soundtrack. I mean, this is a really, really good soundtrack with some really great songs, some of which I still have on different playlists that I periodically will listen to. It's just a delightful movie. If you're looking for something light, fun, really funny, silly at the same time, but that still has a ludicrous amount of heart, make sure you check out Bridget Jones' Diary. If it's been a long time since you've seen it, give it another watch. It's a great way to kick off any year, and it's a must watch. Okay, so those were my 2 recommendations to kick off this year with a fresh start and a look towards adventure in all of the upcoming months. If you have any recommendations for films that you think are great watches for the beginning of a new year, please comment with those below. If you have any recommendations for themes that you'd like to see us cover in the future, definitely share those. Always looking for help with that. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you next week. Bye-bye.